So let's talk about double equals versus triple equals. Right, so I would like to play with some examples to see what is the main difference between double and triple equals. So, for example, if I type 5 equal to 5, easy, right? What will this return? Nothing? True. Correct. Correct. True. And what happens if I type 5 equal to 6?
False.
False. Easy, right? And what happens if I type 5 sorry, let me rephrase that. 5 equal to 5 as a string? It's true. That's correct. That's correct. And what happens if I, however, add a new equals? False. That's interesting, right? So, yeah, I can see that you got the idea, right? So, can you tell me what's the main difference between double and triple equals in JavaScript? Correct. Strict. Yes. Yes. So, correct. Correct. So, triple equals performs type checking. That means, with triple equals, if the type of the elements don't match, then that will return false. So what's the type of the expression on the left-hand side? Number, correct. What's the type of the element on the right-hand side? String, correct. Are they the same type? No. False. So it's not even checking the details. If the types don't match, false, right? So that's the first fundamental difference. With double equals, however, with double equals, is not performing any kind of type checking. So with double equals, JavaScript will try its best to normalize the type. Will try to use the same type in both sides, and once it manages to have the same type in both sides, they will compare, right? Why that returns true? Well, because JavaScript will say, hey, I got a number on the left-hand side, I got a string on the right-hand side, but can I transform the number into a string? Yes, I can, right? And once both expressions have the same type, then it's much easier to realize that will return true, right? Any questions so far? Yes, yes, of course. Towards the end of the session, or maybe not towards the end, but I'll ask you a vital question that the next employer will ask you on your next job interview, right? When do we use double? When do we use triple? I'll come back there in a minute. Let's explore all the different scenarios first, right? So in that case, it's pretty predictable, right? Numbers, strings, but let's put a more spicy example. What happens if I put 1 equals true?
True.
Why true? Why true, Bala?
One is truthy.
So according to Bala, that will return true because one is truthy and the other one is truthy. That's so the first part of the answer is fully correct, it returns true, but the thing is, if that returns true because both are truthy, does that mean that will return true as well? Because both are truthy, right? Hello is truthy, true is truthy. What will that return? True? Are you sure? Wrong. Wrong. So the technical reason why one returns true, so 1 equal true returns true, is not because both are truthy. Because there's another example where both operators are truthy, but however, double equal returns true, right? So remember, when we use double equals, JavaScript will try its best to compare them, right? And for example, 1. How can we normalize 1? True is a Boolean, right? 1 is a number. How can we transform true to a number? Probably not. 0 or 1. Okay, fair enough. So if we put 2 here, that's correct, right? That's correct. So look, 1 equals true, it's truthy. But 2 equals true, false. So Bala is right. Bala is right. JavaScript will try to transform true into a number. Which number? Number 1. Why? Yep.
False and 1 is true.
Yeah, 1 is true, but 2 is truthy as well, right? So JavaScript, wait a minute, Michael. JavaScript will try to transform true into 1. So then, if you said 0, will this return true or false? False. But what happens if we put 0 equals false? Correct. I mean, that's technically speaking correct. Other question is whether this is expected from a logical point of view. So, Michael.
Yes, so why, when you started your example, did you say a number?
Yeah, a number.
Truthy? Why?
Like that?
Yeah, because when you started, you said that.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact example, you've got a number, and you said,
Yeah.
is it truthy?
Like that. So, for example, if we did the sample, JavaScript will say, okay, so Michael, what type of data do I have on the left?
It's a number.
Correct. And on the right?
String.
A string, correct. So then JavaScript will say, can I normalize that? Can I transform any of these two elements to share the same type? Yes, JavaScript will say, 5 as a number, I can transform it to a string. So then we can clearly, I guess we agree now, that 5 as a string is the same as 5 as a string. That's what.
JavaScript is performing that because it wants it to.
It's performing that conversion if and only if you use double equals, not if you use triple equals. That's why that returns true, but that returns false. Correct, right? So then back to the previous example. When we have weird types or desperate types, sometimes it's a bit, in my opinion, challenging to predict what the result will be, right? So for example, that example that we placed before that returns true, right? To me, that doesn't feel that obvious, right? But, however, if we use triple equals, right, that will return what? False. Correct.
But why did the example? You didn't actually see.
That one.
Yeah,
That one returns true. Yeah. Why? Why? Because, again, JavaScript will say, okay, I got a number on the left-hand side. I got a Boolean on the right-hand side. Can I transform any of these to the other? So can I normalize the type? JavaScript under the hood can transform a Boolean. So true is dangerous. Well, listen, I'm not defending that. I'm just explaining how JavaScript works, right? So under the hood, JavaScript will say, okay, I got a number. Can I transform true to a number? Yes, 1. Why not 1? It's 1. Shut up, right? This is how JavaScript works. If you got false, say, okay, false 0. Why 0? Shut up again, right? Just trust me, right?
Is that because of
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. At the end, it's not just because, I mean, there are some technical reasons, right? But again, other question is whether these technical reasons are obvious or predictable or not, right? So this is the main difference between double and triple. Technically speaking, if you want to nail the job interview and you want to get the job, the employer won't probably know, and you should write this down now, that double equals checks the equality of the elements. Triple equals checks the identity of the elements. This is the technical way to describe the difference. So double equals performs type conversion. Triple equals doesn't. So back to Rafa's question. Which one should we use and why?
I believe the triple equals. Well, depending on the case maybe, but I believe triple equals in most cases because you're comparing the types of letters.
Right, right. So double equals should be used never. Triple equals should be used always. Long story short, right? Long story short. If you don't trust me, at least trust one of the fathers of JavaScript, which is Mr. Douglas Crackford. So if I do a quick search on Google, double equals versus triple equals, JavaScript, probably the first result, or maybe the second, it's actually the first result. This is one of the most popular questions in Stack Overflow, not just about JavaScript. Look at how many people vote for that question, right? So you can read what Mr. Douglas Crackford said. And they're evil twins, right? That's it. That's it, right? That's it. Never use double equals. So this is the main difference between double and triple equals, right? So once we agree that double equals is something we should never use, actually, I'll tell you something. Do you know the elegance, score that you got penalties sometimes? Yeah. I need to check if that's enabled or not because to be honest, I don't remember top of my mind. But I will make sure after this workshop that you get a huge penalty if you use double equals. That's a classic thing when you set up the rules, the coding rules of your project. If you use double equals, you'll get a penalty, right? Yeah, Itamar?
What do single equals do?
Single equals, whoa. So single equals assigns. So if I do let Itamar equals hello, it's not comparing anything. It's assigning the value hello to the newly created variable Itamar.
So it's a syntax error that if you use, for example, in a find,
That's a good question. That's a good question. What happens if I do if let Itamar equals hello, return yes, hello. Else, return no hello. Ignoring the stupidity of this example, right, and the fact that we got some errors, so let's create a variable first. So if we do that, yeah, so hopefully we can then, so what will this return?
Yes, hello.
Yes, hello. Bala is right. When you assign, essentially, what you are doing is you're assigning the value of hello to Itamar. So in other words, we are checking if Itamar. Is Itamar truthy or falsy? It's truthy because it's a string. Because it's truthy, the if sentence will be executed, right? You can add a breakpoint if you want. Right? You see, Itamar is hello. Hello is clearly truthy. Then do the if. Any question?
Yeah, why does it decide that Itamar is hello? Because the if is before.
because I've been assigned hello.
Yeah, it's been assigned. I mean, yeah, to me that code looks wrong, looks radically wrong. Because if I read that code, I got the feeling that someone was trying to compare Itamar with hello, but he forgot to add, probably he forgot to have a coffee in the morning, and as a consequence, he forgot to add at least an additional, equal sign, right? So that, to me, that looks very weird, very, 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 very weird. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you want to compare, use at least double equals, which is still wrong, and ideally triple equals, which is nice, beautiful. Any question?
I presume you're going to get into what's the point of double equals.
No, the point of double equals is in 1995, someone decided that double equals was good. And over time, right, because, then we realized that that wasn't good. But again, because the languages need to be backwards compatible, we cannot remove double equals, right? Remember, guys, do you remember that image? I think I showed you that already. So JavaScript versus JavaScript, the good parts. I think there is a funny image about that, the other one, right? Do you remember that? This is Douglas Crawford, right? Again, you are not here because JavaScript is the most efficient, elegant, pragmatic programming language in the world. You are here because JavaScript was the only one that got a deal with the browser in 1995. Because of that, now JavaScript is everywhere, right? But this thing is good to understand that not everything in JavaScript is great, and we need to deal with these issues, right? Cool. So,
can I ask a question
yeah.
before you? I'm sorry if it's a little bit off topic, but can you make an assignment there? You had the assignment where Itamar was hello. Can you assign undefined Itamar?
Can we do Itamar equals undefined? Like that?
Yeah.
Yes. And that's obvious, right? Why? Because now Itamar is undefined. Is undefined truthy or falsy? Falsy. So then it will run else. Yeah? But again, so we're making it more complicated by following a wrong pattern. Never assign things inside of an if sentence. That looks weird. That looks wrong, right? So remember, when you have an if, at least double equals, ideally triple equals. I hope everybody understood that already. Any question?
What if you comment out line number 2?
If you comment line number 2,
Comment, not take it out, like, you know. Yeah. It'll be fine.
like that?
Yes, that should be the else.
So two things may happen. So first of all, line number 4 will never run, that's for sure. But then I think it will either run on line number 6 or it will throw an error. Correct? It throws an error. Why it throws an error? Because Itamar doesn't exist. Right? We'll do a workshop about scoping, bar, let, const to explain all this difference. Right? So don't worry about that now.
We can do a let in the if condition, right?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
We can.
No, you can't. You can't. Probably with bar it may work. No, neither. No, you can't. No. So no, we can't, unfortunately, today. Cool. So guys, let's move on. So let's ignore double equals. I'll never talk about double equals again. Still a bit related, partially off topic, but still a bit related. So we agree that 5 equals 5 returns. Why 5, Natasha? No, not 5 equals 5. 5 equal 5. We're comparing. True. Every time we compare, the result will be true or false, right? Because we're comparing. Cool, correct. If we do false equal false, that will return. Who said false? Why false? That's true, right? And if we put hello equals hello, that will return true. And if we put hello equal capital H on the right hand side, false, correct. Yeah, so we got that. But if you notice, I'm all the time talking about the primitives. Do you remember? We talked about that in the pure versus impure workshop. The easiest one. But what happens if I go crazy and I do that? Oh. Wow. True, false. Whoa. Big fight here now, eh? I love that. Why false, Jeff?
Because the objects, I think, are referred to basically by their memory address.
That's correct. Jeff is right. Yes, correct.
Separate memory.
Correct. Every time you create an array, it creates a new reference in memory. So in other words, this is one reference to memory. This is a new reference to memory. they are not the same reference to memory, false. Right? That's interesting. Following the same criteria, what happens if I do that?
Same.
The same, right?
False.
That's interesting. So I probably need to create a variable. So value 1 equals that. And then we got let value 2 equals the same thing. So then we can compare if value 1 equals value 2. And that will return false. Correct. Even though the data is the same. Because we got a new reference in memory. Right? So then the question is, how can we compare these things, right? Because let me rephrase that. What happens if I do that? True or false? True, false, true, false? False. Wrong. All right. Aisel. Aisel, how you been stroking the cat on the last 30 minutes? Right. Well, she's right? So look, value 1 is a reference to memory. That's the same reference to memory because it's the same variable, so that will return true. And also, to make it more complicated, what happens if we do value 3 equals value 1, and then we compare value 1 with value 3? True, false. Right. Yes, correct. So it's true because when we do that, remember, we are never creating a copy of the array. We are just creating a new reference in memory, right? So in other words, if I do value 3 dot name equals Mary, what happens if I display value 1 dot name? Will it be Peter or Mary? Mary, that's correct. That's correct, because we are not copying the array, we're creating a reference, as we explained yesterday, right? Because of that, if we do value 1 equal value 3, sorry, will this be true or false? True, correct. It's the same array, the same reference to memory, right?
I missed the bit, Ricardo, sorry. So why is value 1 equals value, tuple equals value 2 evaluating to true?
No. Value 1 evaluates to false we compare with value 2 because we have created 2 objects from scratch. So that's falsy, as you can see. So value 1 is not the same as value 2, but then because we created value 3 and we assign the same reference in memory to value 1, if we compare 1 and 3, that's true.
Sure.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So then now the next question is, what happens if we do want to compare? Because if I want to create a function that essentially compares if value 1 and value 2 are the same from a human point of view, not technically speaking, right? Because visually speaking, I can clearly determine that they are the same, right? Does anyone know how to compare objects and arrays in JavaScript?
Compare the element value.
Say it again?
Compare method.
Compare method.
Compare the value of the element against the value of the
Compare the value. Okay, but what happens if we got, for example, first name, you know, they are not the same. So it's not just about comparing the values, it's about comparing the keys, right? Yeah, of course, we can create a function, object.keys, you know, reduce. We can spend half a day doing this fancy algorithm, right? Which is probably, in the long term, that will be the best way. There is an easier way, but be careful, because that option is evil. But if you have full control on your data, it may work. So let me show you first something. Let's play with arrays, because they are a bit simpler. So if I have hello Caldery, and then array number 2 is hello Caldery. So even though we agree, technically speaking, they are not the same, because they point to different memory addresses, right? We agree on that. Visually speaking, they are the same, right? So what if we want to create a function to do like hard comparison, value comparison instead of reference comparison? So Have you ever heard about something called JSON.stringify?
Yeah.
Right? Be careful with that, eh? Be careful with that. But, right? So JSON.stringify, which is a very dangerous thing, transform something into a string. You see? So now, look, can I do that? What will this return? True or false? True. Correct. Correct. The way to prove the theory, if I change codedy to codedy 2, it's false. Right? So this is a very rudimentary way to compare arrays. But be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful with that. Because even though for very simplistic scenarios that will work fine, I will show you in a scenario where it's, first of all, the happy path. Again, name Peter, and then name Peter. Will this return true or false? True. Correct. Let's add a new property. So that will be first name. Wait. Last name. William. True or false? True. True. Why false? No, that's still the same data, same keys, same values. True. But look at the subtle change. So if you get a question in an interview, can you use JSON.stringify? Look how easy it is to break that. True or false? False. But hey, wait, the objects are still the same. I have the same keys. I have the same values. I just declare the properties in a different order. Visually speaking, I will expect that to be the same as that. But in reality, the algorithm returns false. So be very careful. Don't forget something. In JavaScript, object properties don't have any order. It doesn't make sense to sort the properties of an object. It doesn't make sense. The standard doesn't mention that at all. Every browser will apply a different criteria to sort the properties. For example, Google Chrome sorts the keys alphabetically. But that may not be the case. I think Internet Explorer follows a different criteria. So it doesn't make sense to sort the properties of an object. That's why they are technically speaking the same, because the order doesn't matter. They have the same number of keys, they have the same key names, they have the same values, all the same, right? However, this algorithm returns false. There is a question, I think it's on the intermediate or maybe on expert, that talks about that. You receive two objects, I believe, and you need to determine whether they are equal or not. So you need to create a proper algorithm using reduce and things like that, right? So that will happen. I don't want to talk about that now. Guys, any question?
Yes, so Ricardo, what does it actually return? It's just flattening it into string.
Correct. Bala, could you please mute yourself again, please?
Yeah.
As you say, it will vary
Yeah.
in the browser as to
Yeah.
how it's implemented.
I'll show you. Maybe that's not Bala, maybe that's Aisel. Guys, could you please mute yourselves? Thank you. Cheers. Yeah, so if we display that, that will literally stringify. It will do something like that. You see? It will transform, I'll show you in a second, the object into a string. You see? So that's the thing. It's a very rudimentary way to do this kind of transformation. Out of curiosity, JSON.stringify, it can work. There is the opposite. It's called JSON.parse. So if you provide a string, right? So if I copy that, which may be a bit controversial because I'll have to escape some characters, right? But that's technically speaking correct.
Can you use backticks?
Yes, we can use backticks to escape quotes. So if we do that, that will hopefully give me an object, as you can see, right? and if I change the order of the elements, right, now Google is not actually even respecting the order. You see, so Google Chrome is just keeping an alphabetical order. So it doesn't matter what the order is. That's what I say. The order in the object doesn't matter, right, at all. So yeah, this was just FYI that we can use JSON.stringify to transform a complex data structure like an object or an array into a string, and then we can revert the process on the other way around using JSON.parse. To me, generally speaking, every time I see a project using JSON.parse or JSON.stringify, that's smelly. We're doing something weird, something dodgy. We should never need to do that. Unless we have a very strong reason, I don't see the reason why we should transform from a string to object or vice versa.
Sorry.
Yep.
What would be the reason you would use JSON.parse for?
Again, because that's part of the standard, so you can use it, right? I mean, yeah, in JavaScript there are some weird things we should try to avoid. You ever heard about eval? How do you pronounce that? Eval, right? Have you seen that? So eval essentially takes a string probably it's even blocked today, right? It's unsafe eval, right? It's not allowed, right? So that's good. It's a good thing from Google Chrome. So that's a classic thing in JavaScript, right? Mr. Crackford said eval is evil, right? Because you are opening a huge security hole in your software. If I'm, for example, adding a comment in a chat, and my command is something like that, right? I may be doing script injection and things like that, right? That goes beyond of the scope of this bootcamp. Anyway, that's a bad thing. We should never run, code from a string.
The only thing that was not so clear to me is why an array string hello.
Yeah.
It's not matching the same array.
Yeah. Okay. Let's review that. So if we have an array with a string hello, and then value 2 has literally the same array creating from scratch, and then we do value 1 equal value 2. So Natasha, what do you think that should return? True or false?
Right now it's true.
Wrong. Can anyone explain, Natasha, why this will return false?
Because it creates a memory in memory. It creates a reference memory to value 1.
I don't understand what's reference memory. That's
Talking about the actual physical computer.
Yeah, correct. So
where it is in the
Yeah, in the CPU.
yeah, it's in the CPU somewhere, right? In memory somewhere, right? It doesn't matter. The important thing is every time you put a square bracket or a curly bracket, it's like creating new data in your system, right? So if you do that again, it will create another data.
So it means it's here, it's not here.
Correct. That's why, unfortunately, we can't compare arrays following that pattern, right? Last question of the day, guys. I promise. Yeah, Bala?
Quick one. I just had a quick look. You know that issue you mentioned about object keys being out of order and then stringify not matching it. I just tried something to just, after doing JSON.stringify, I just put a sort at the end on both sides. It seems to work.
Yeah. Not against that, Bala. Of course, we can extend, but also think that we may have nested objects and
I guess.
Again, I'm sure. Let's do something, guys. So instead of, the way we solve that, right? JSON.stringify, right? And then it worked. But let's do that properly. That's a classic question on the intermediate. So the question is, we have two inputs, value 1 and value 2, basic arrays, so array of strings, right? So we want to determine if both array of strings are equal. So let's do something. I'll try to solve that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a variable, so I'm going to assume they are equal, so let r equal, I'm going to assume they are equal by default, and then I'm going to use reduce. So I'm going to do value1.reduce. Actually, I don't even need to create a variable. So what's the first value of reduce, guys? Accumulator. I'm going to call it R equal straight away, and then we got each individual value. So what's the default value of the R equal accumulator? I'm going to put true, correct. I'm going to assume that they are equal, right? So then, do you remember what's the third argument of reduce? The index. That's correct, that's correct. So then, I'm going to do return are equal. That means if at some point they are not equal, and value, let me rename that to array1, otherwise it could be a bit confusing, array2, right? So array1.reduce, right? So value equal, array2 index. So essentially, I'm comparing each element of the array against the next one, right? I never said that was perfect yet, but let's see if that works. Let's do some iterations. First of all, look, that returns true. If I change hello to hello2, that returns false, right? That works fine. But then, what happened? So is this algorithm perfect? What do you think? You think it's perfect?
No, it's the same. We'll have the same issue of ordering.
The same issue. What issue, Bala?
If we have more than one element and they're out of order.
That's correct. So no, but listen. But now the order is important because using arrays, the order does matter, right? So if I do that, will it return true or false?
True.
False, true. What will this return? Why true?
False.
It will return false. Guys, do we need to add breakpoints on these things? Iteration 1, R equal.
Yeah.
What's the value of R equal on iteration 1?
True.
True. What's the value?
Hello.
Hello. Return?
True.
True. Correct. Iteration 2, R equal.
True.
True. Value. World. Return.
Value word.
False. Why false? Because that condition is not matched on the second iteration. Value is world, was index on the second iteration. 1, correct. What's array on position number 1? Nothing. Undefined, correct. Is world equal to undefined? No, correct. So that will return false. 1, 2, false, right? Which is correct. It's correct, right? Because the arrays are not equal. That's correct. However, what will this return? The same.
Same.
False, true.
Oh, true.
That will return true, which is wrong, right? Why that will return true? Easy, because that will run just one iteration, right? Right. So that's not correct. So obviously we can change the algorithm a bit. Again, you have a question, not sure if on the intermediate or on the expert about that. That says if. So let me change that. So we can do if array1.length is not the same as array2.length, right? Return false. So if they have different size, they will never be equal, right? Else, can we do that?
Yeah.
Right. So let's try again. Let's try again. So now, because they have different size, so can you tell me breakpoints, guys? Sorry, I'm interested to listen, not Itamar. Well, I'm interested to listen to you, but not at the moment. So, Megan. Five. Six. Anything else? No? What do you think, guys? Is she right or wrong?
Yeah.
She's right, right? Oh, thank you, Chrome. Wait a minute. It's not Megan's fault. So we got 5, 6. Oh, now it doesn't give me the option to add breakpoints and line number 6. Anyway, look, 5, and that's it. It will run 6. That's why it returns false. So that's correct, because if they don't have the same size, we don't care about the content, right? We'll just return false. And of course, if we change that, it will return false as well, because they don't have the same number of elements. If they do have the same size, the same number of elements, that will return true. If any of the values is different, like wall and wall 2, that will return false, right? So this is the type of things that we should do if we want to create a proper algorithm to compare arrays.
And if you have like one is a low word and the other one is the low, but another word with 5 elements.
Another word with 5 elements. Not getting that. What's another word with 5?
I mean, if you don't type, word, there is like 5 letters, right?
Yeah.
If you get another word with 5 letters,
The same thing. Like that?
no.
No.
We need to find another word with 5 letters.
Peter.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, you tell me.
I think it's false because we are using the double equals after the difference.
What happened if you use double equals? I promise I was never going to talk about that, but that's...
No, I mean, in the first one you're negating, so you're comparing also the, but it's 2 strings, yeah, I don't know.
True or false? What? Okay, false. What happens if we do hello equal wall? The Chrome is spoiling the result, right? This is obviously false. Because even though they share the same type, which is a good starting point, the value is different, clearly. So in that case, on the iteration number 1, hello equals to hello, so still truthy. But on the iteration number 2, wall is clearly not the same as Peter, even if we use double equals, so that returns false. Of course, if we put triple equals, that will still return false. And what if we put wall with capital W? False. Correct. What if we want to change the algorithm to ignore the case? To lowercase where?
In the comparison.
Here, for example.
Value equals array dot index here.
Will this work?
No, both sides.
Both sides, correct. Even though that will work, because we are transforming the second one to lowercase, what happens if it's on the other way around, right? Now, that will fail miserably. Correct. So we need to apply the transformation in both sides to make sure that we are always dealing with lower cases, right? And then finally, if you don't want to get any penalty on the elegance, remember, parentheses, new line, something like that, right? And semicolon. I'm happy everybody spotted that parenthesis semicolon issue on the beginner challenge yesterday, right? And that will obviously work. Any question? Yep.
So, I know stringify obviously we shouldn't use because
Yep.
it's unpredictable, but then somebody must have written some infrastructure or
Yep.
libraries that
Yep.
allow you just to compare easily.
Yeah.
objects and
Yeah, definitely. There are some libraries. If you search on the internet, you search JavaScript, compare array library. I'm sure there are some utilities that they do that for you. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point. Generally speaking, you don't want to create these algorithms every time you start a new project because someone did that. Someone created a very nice and efficient algorithm for you, so you can just probably reuse it, right? Anything else, guys? No? Michael? Natasha? No? Cool. That was it for today. Thank you.
Thank you.